Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of The Curse of the Collector.
Buy. It should be this. Go,
Like
buy
that
all
too.
me.
Shoving no money away.
That's right. That's right. So today, thanks for joining everybody here on your Saturday. We decided to do an episode kind of like talking about and showing off some things that mean a lot to us, things that we have that are extra special, whether it be maybe something that was signed or like an LP or a CD or something that we picked up that maybe is kind of rare. We really treasure it quite a bit. But we do, one of the things we were talking about before we went on the air is that when you have this curse like we do, we really treasure all of it. So trying to pick out just two items is really difficult. But some things mean more to you than others, right? So we've each picked out a couple of items to talk about, and we're going to start with the guy who just made it back to his apartment right before we started recording, all the way from Scotland. Mr. Davey's going to. Let me introduce everybody. Davey Gallagher's in the house. Rick Labonte, Jamie Laszlo, and Scott Berry. So welcome everybody.
Aloha.
Davey, I'll turn it over to you for your first item to kind of talk about why it means so much to you.
Thank you. And hello to everybody watching. Did we say that? No, we don't normally do that kind of suck up thing. Hello to all the ships at sea out there. So when we had the topic mooted in the chat, there was two going back and forth, wasn't it? It was like most treasured and also signed items. So we have two rounds anyway, so I thought that was quite a good way to break it up anyway, rather than two similar things. So I'll go with signed ones first of all. Not as difficult as it used to be, because obviously with the physical market going like this, quite often now, even major acts are doing signed copies for free, basically, just to make you buy the physical product in bundles and things. You're get the t-shirt, get the vinyl, get the cassette. Again, what's all that about? The cassettes are back.
Collect them all.
Yeah, got to have them all. And then you get a signed picture or a signed insert or something. So it's not as obscure as it used to be to get these kind of things.
Unless you're Uwe Malmsteen and you're selling a signed print for $150 at your recent tour.
To be fair, that's how long it takes him to sign his name.
Wow.
But I couldn't spell it. So with that in mind, I took out ones that I've just able to been buying. I mean, that seems a bit easier to just go in and order it. And then, so these are ones that I got in person apart from one. So first one, I'm going to do three, but 2009, I saw the reunion tour of Jack Bruce and Robin Trower doing their Seven Moons tour.
Lucky you! Wow.
And it was fantastic. And that's when I was still working in the record store, and we had passes for that, so we got to go backstage for a bit. And it was a bit strange because Jack was drunk afterwards, and it was just after his liver transplant, and it was like, that's a bit. But hey, so it was a great night though, and so I got the album that they were promoting at the time, signed by Jack and Robin, and Gary Husband on the drums as well. It was a three-piece lineup at the time. So they all signed that, which is as usual backstage. It's scribble, but it's more the memories than anything else, especially when it comes from a time just before we all had cameras all the time on us, or your camera didn't work very well if you did have one, and you never knew how to fix the lighting on it, and blah blah blah. Amount of pictures I've got,
I remember it well.
Pitch black pictures. That was a great show, and backstage, Jack got talking to us about because it was in the south side of Glasgow, and that's where Jack's from, and he was literally pointing and saying just about half a mile that way is where I was born, and he was giving us this kind of history of himself in the south side. And Harmony Row, his second solo album, that's an area just next to that venue, so it was kind of weird to get a kind of history tour from Jack Bruce of the south side of Glasgow. And then he signed his first solo album, Songs for Taylor, which I absolutely love.
It's a great one.
To me, it's the Lost Cream album in a way. It's fantastic stuff. With the original version, of course, of Theme from an Imaginary Western, which Mountain would be more synonymous with later on. and then Robin signed Bridge of Sighs, and so I basically had a whole bundle of stuff. But yeah, and then 2007, so not too far away from that. The year before, I was down in London for what they used to do down there, the Kinks convention, and occasionally Ray Davies would actually come to that, and this year he did, and actually hung out all night. So Ray Davies just sat there and drank and talked with everybody. It was the strangest thing. Like, just one of the guys, like, "Oh, do you want a pint, Ray Davies?" And he's just sitting there chatting away. So it was about the time that his solo stuff was out. So he signed Other People's Lives and whatnot. His first solo, well, kind of his first proper studio album. It had a couple of soundtrack for Return to Waterloo in the 80s, and then a live thing, Storyteller. So he signed that, and Schoolboys in Disgrace. For some reason, I wanted Schoolboys in Disgrace signed, which is an album that nobody loves, but I absolutely adore for some reason. I love Schoolboys in Disgrace. And even he commented at the time, "Well, why would you want Schoolboy signed?"
You bring
Of all
that.
the albums.
Yeah, like without saying so, it was basically like, "What the fuck? Like, do you not want
Well,
Village
Signature
Green
would look
signed?
good on
Do you
that
not want
cover.
Lola signed?" And I was like, "I fucking love Schoolboys in Disgrace." So I'm defending Schoolboys in Disgrace to the guy that wrote and performed it, which was fun. And then one that I did order because there was no way I was ever going to get a chance to see him. People know I'm a massive fan of the band. Levon's big solo album comeback, Dirt Farmer, when that came out in 2007, phenomenal stuff. His big Grammy winning comeback, he actually got a Grammy for this, unbelievably, for best traditional album or something. So yeah, Levon's album signed by the whole band, including Larry Campbell, who I saw as Dylan's lead guitar player in 2000, 2004 and 2005. Amy Helm, his daughter, and then Levon's at the top there. So yeah, that was just a purchase, but that was more of a whatever it cost I was going to have it at the time kind of purchase. So yeah, that would be my. Oh, sorry, one more. About the same time again, 2007, 2008. It was very fruitful time. Donovan in Derby down in England signed this, which is the kind of history of Donovan. It's a big long documentary. It's a 2-disc set. It's really, really in depth. A bit too hippie for some, I dare say. But we got chatting because he was fascinated to hear a Glasgow accent down in England. So he chatted away about things he remembered from the West End of Glasgow and whatnot. And then when he signed it, he wrote, "To Davy, with fair winds to ye from Donovan, a Glasgow bard." So he really went in depth with the signature there, which bit of a hippie thing to do, but fair winds to you. You can just imagine him singing that, "Fair winds to you." But yeah, so bless him. He was lovely. He was an absolute gent of the old school. So, and it's a good documentary too. David Lynch, Franco Zeffirelli, all sorts of people. Paul McCartney, David Gilmour. So yeah,
Cool.
that would be my first round.
I have one question.
Sure.
The Kinks convention, did they spell convention with a K?
K, they did, of course. Yeah.
The only way to do it is through the Kinks.
The
right?
fan club was with a K as well. And there was so many Ks flying around that one of the posters did have KKK. And I was like, oh God, we're gonna get some different people coming to this one. This is
Oh boy. All right, Rick.
Okay. Yeah. So, like Pete said, all this stuff is a treasure to us. So, how do I prioritize it? But before I begin, we always seem to have a follow up from the last program, and Pete was talking. Hey guys, we were talking about Jeff Beck and Beck Bogan and Pieces coming with that box set, and he did a great unboxing and review on it. And of course, I got it the same day he did, basically. And yeah, fantastic. So just to follow up, glad to add that to my collection. What a great sounding
It is. Yeah.
both
On my get list.
So anyway, going to prioritize the what can I do? I mean, I got some great autograph through whether it's set lists or ticket, and I mean, some of my favorite like Elton John and Jason Bottom and everything. But I wanted to pick because we talk about our collection, a CD. I try to prioritize the CDs, and that was difficult because I got so many. But I'm gonna pick the ones that are near and dear to my heart because of the the story went behind it. And I have to start with one of my favorite bands in the world is Uriah Heep. It's not only that I meet him in 2018, got to jam with them, perform sound check and encore. They signed all kinds of stuff up to that date and everything. And this was before they would put out an album, Living the Dream. We became Facebook friends and so forth. I would get that, but they also would send me a package because we became pals and signed it all. It's a box set, has the T-shirt. I still haven't taken it out. I got 3 of them from all the concerts I saw. But when I met them again, because I've seen them a couple of times, London, Ohio, but when I went to UK and saw them at Sheffield, and it was the same time Fincher Caravan was playing and Pineapple Thieves, it's sort of a prog rock weekend, and they were the hard rock in the beginning. So I got to see them. And prior to that, last time I saw them, and I got this, they have a live album called Live at Coco, and this is the time where they actually have the lineup with Davey Rimmer and Russell all playing at the CD and DVD combo. So I went to get them signed, and they were already, half of them were starting to get on the bus to go to London the next day. And Davey and I were hanging out so long that I missed to get a couple of signatures that I wanted. Davey said, leave me with that. I'll take care of it. So he emailed me this all signed for me, and it's fantastic. But he thrown in a bonus because I had to wait to get it, because they were so busy, that he sent me a Japanese press of living the dream. And so it's nice to have that, just an extra bonus. Never open it. I'm going to keep it the way it is, just like I kept that. But I think it's the kind of people they are, right? They go the extra mile. He don't owe me nothing, but he made sure I got it. He was in the process of moving to France or something like that. And so, but he didn't forget me. He sent me that, and lo and behold, that same year he played on a couple of my songs on the album. So this is a special deal because I got a lot of their signatures on a lot of stuff, but when they send you extra stuff that you didn't see coming, that was awesome.
I will reiterate.
And I treasure that big time.
They are a really sweet bunch of guys. They really are.
I mean,
sometimes, you meet your heroes and you're kind of like, okay, that didn't really live up to what you'd hoped. But in the handful of occasions I've had the pleasure of spending time with the guys from Uriah Heep, they were just wonderful human beings. They really are. They're just like us. They're no different. Yeah.
Yes, they would be people we hang out with.
Yeah.
And then next month where we name the pricks.
Oh boy. There are some of those, unfortunately.
There's a few.
All right, Jamie.
All right. First of all, I want to say 1 year ago today, Pete, I was
Yes.
landing in New York City for Fall Fest.
Yes.
That year flew by.
It did. It really did.
On 3 hours of sleep, I was landing into New York. So I have some stuff here that's kind of priceless in a way, and I have some stuff here that's kind of worthless unless you're me. So like personal stuff. So first things first, let's get her out of the way, right? Because look, 2 things I don't like to do.
Who could it be?
I wonder. Hit me with your best shot.
2 things I don't like to do. I don't like to repeat things and show them again, but we are talking about our most treasured things. And B, I don't like to talk about her too much because people roll their eyes and go, oh, there goes Laszlo with the Benatar chick again. So I kind of keep it a minimal. But it's that kind of show. But I have a couple things here I never showed before. So first of all, I showed these before. My most prized possession ever is her day gig 1974 single that I keep in a frame. You can't buy it. I don't care how big of a fan you are. I don't care how much money you got. It's not out there. You cannot buy it. So that's why it's kind of, I spent almost $300 on it, and I feel like I stole it because you can't buy it. And her 1974 live album she did with Coxswain's Army, Side by Side. This you can get, I've got it for like $150. It's going for like $300 now, maybe because she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Who knows? So there's my 2 things I keep up on the wall. I got to be careful with those.
Yeah.
And I went to see her in Vegas about, I don't know, it's probably been 8 years ago now. And they had this at the merch table, and it's a signed DVD. live DVD. And here's the thing. I said, how much is this? And oh my God, I was drinking all day in Vegas and went to her concert at night. So you know how I was feeling. Right when that concert was over, I basically, I'm done. Let's go back to the hotel. But they wanted $20 for this. And I was thinking that the DVD is worth $20 at a merch table. I think they have the wrong price on this being signed by both Neil and Pat. So I got it. Never met them. I talked to her on the telephone once, but I wish I could have met her. I could have spent the VIP tickets about a decade ago with Journey. And I said, why am I spending so much money to meet another human being? And then I've been kicking myself for 10 years, especially if I don't get another chance. But here's the thing I wanted to show. So in 1989, I had a college roommate in the dormitory, 100% Japanese, right from Japan. The English he knew was probably learned from Miami Vice, for all I know. He knew next to nothing. So every time I got a phone call, it was like charades. You know, you sister? My sister called. Thanks, man. So he went back to Japan on Christmas break. You know, Kenji, his name was Kenji. And he kept a toilet paper roll hanging in his closet. And I never knew why. It was just dangling on a thing in his closet. So there was no way to ask him and get the answer. So he came back from Christmas break from Japan. And he said, I buy you. And he got me, brought home this to me with the Obi strip there. Now it's not worth much money. And I said I would never open it, but as you can see, over the 30 years or so, it's coming apart. And this is just kind of a special thing for me, for my roommate Kenji, all the way from Japan. He was nice enough to know that I love Pat Benatar and buy it. I'm surprised it was available in Japan, and buy it for me. Brought it back. So I always think of Kenji when I see it in my collection.
With the original unbent Obi strip.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you have to keep the Obi strip and the plastic wrap around it, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know how much longer that plastic wrap got.
Yeah, 30 years old.
I like
What
to
you do
imagine
is
Kenji...
once that plastic wrap falls off, you take that Obi strip, you just keep it as is, and you slip it on the inside. And
No, you need a plastic wrapper to say.
Yeah,
really,
you put
really
it in a
Japanese.
plastic wrap.
Kind of hard though, especially if it's the only copy you have, right? You got to listen to
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah, it's because it's in my regular collection, and I'm sliding things out in front of it, or below it, and above it, and that's what the wear and
Do you
tear.
think Kenji went home and went, I really like that roommate of mine, but he doesn't speak Japanese, and for some reason he doesn't hang toilet roll in his cupboard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I asked one of his friends that spoke more English one time, why does he do it? He goes, oh, Japan tradition. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Keeps moths away. I don't know.
Japanese tradition, my ass.
yeah, who knows? I've never heard of that before, ever.
I still don't know.
So only toilet paper, not paper towels, right?
Yeah, maybe he was taking a dump behind the door. I don't know.
Jesus. All right, Scott, over to you.
All right. Cool. Hey, it's good to be back together again. Seems like it's been a long time since we've done one of these.
Sometimes it flies by, sometimes
Time
it
flies, man. That's
Yeah.
It's been 70
About
years.
5 or 6 weeks. Anyway, my first one, it's actually going to be 2 items, and I don't feel guilty because you guys have done more than 1 item. So, but they're connected. It's a band I've been listening to pretty much since I've been into rock and all that. Seems like a lot of the people on this channel, not just on Curse of the Collector, but every show holds up their vinyl to show. And like Pete, I don't really do vinyl anymore. I pretty much went all to CD a while ago. But when I sold off my vinyl, I did hang on to a few just for sentimental reasons or whatever. And these are 2 that have been in my collection a very long time and have a little special meaning to me. And first one is it's the Rolling Stones.
Oh wow, yeah, okay.
Out of Our Heads, and this one is in mono. Yeah, got this at a Half Price Books in Arlington, Texas, way back in 1984, I think. I was still in high school, and I'd just been getting into the Stones music. Well, I guess I'd been a fan for a couple of years already, but yeah, I saw that and I was just like, oh my God, things, it's older than any of us on the show here, right?
Mm-hmm.
From 1965, just look at him there, I mean, that's Keith in the front there. Look at that baby face.
Oh,
Pete,
yeah.
you were alive in 65, weren't you?
Nope. January
Breathing it.
66.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Pete and I are both 66 babies.
But just the fact that you got a mono record shows you that times are changing, technology.
Well, that too. And it's an old, from the era because of the mono, right?
Exactly.
Mick, oddly, way in the back there. You can barely see him.
But he's out of his heads.
Yeah.
And they're out of their heads. That's the fourth studio album by the band. And there's the back cover. And this is the one that had Satisfaction. And this is the one that really propelled them to huge fame and fortune. They became just superstars after this.
I wonder how much one of those pressings is going for nowadays.
Well, I looked that up. I was wondering, it's like, I've had this forever. I hung on to it. I figured, it might be valuable. I looked it up on Discogs and eBay, and it's in pretty great shape. I played it, I used to play it, and there's some pops, but it doesn't really skip or anything. I mean, it's in pretty good shape for its age, from 1965. And I love it, man. I mean, it seems like maybe the condition I've got it in, probably around 40, 50, somewhere in that ballpark, which I paid like $4 for.
Oh, I was going to say, you probably paid next to for it back then, yeah.
If you had the UK pressing, then you're talking bucks.
I was going to say, because it doesn't have Satisfaction on our version.
That's right. There were two different versions. Yeah, UK version is different from the American version.
Because like the Beatles, like most bands of the era, they didn't want to rip off fans by making them buy the single and then buy the single on the album again.
Yeah, they had a lot of standalone singles in the UK, right?
Yeah, because everybody was buying the singles and the EPs, so why make them have the same music on the albums again?
But because we're talking about right at the beginning of the album era, right? It's right at the beginning. So you saw that, especially like with the Who, all the British invasion bands were all doing that. They had the US version, the UK version, different track listings, and
Right.
But in America, they wanted to use the single as the appeal of the album and really commercial. Capitol really kickstarted that. But...
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know if this makes a difference, but this one, most of the London releases had a blue label. This one had a red label. I don't know if that makes a difference in the value or not. Might have just been because it was in mono. They did the red label. I don't know.
But it definitely limited edition.
But yeah, I mean, when I saw that in '84, I was like, holy crap, And that just seemed ancient to me at the time. I was like 19 years old. I was like, now it's
even more ancient.
Almost as old as me, but not quite. And
then
in
a museum.
Still going.
And my other one from my vinyl collection, Rolling Stones, is I got an original copy of Some Girls' first pressing, which, if anybody knows the history of this, they used a lot of celebrities in the photos on the cover, and
see how many
most of them sued to have their faces removed. And they came out with later version of the album that they had to take all that off. They had to change the cover.
Yeah.
But that included Lucille Ball, Farrah Fawcett, Liza Minnelli, also sued representing her mother, Judy Garland, Raquel Welch, and the estate of Marilyn Monroe. All of them sued. So anyway, it was kind of cool to get this. I don't think it's super rare. I mean, they probably sold 1 million or so of these before they had to change it. But it's still a cool thing to have. There's the interior, and they had, you could kind of change it around if you wanted. You could do the backside, because this is like die cut. And in addition to that, it's just one of the best Stones albums. Many call this their best, I don't know, I guess post Exile on Main Street album, maybe. It's definitely
one of the
favorites.
best of Bonnie Wood of that period.
Yeah, this is I would definitely say it's the best one that they did with Ron. Not that they didn't have some good ones afterward, but it's just a great album. I mean, they were kind of throwing everything at the wall here. They were doing
Huge comeback album for them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some of it's a little punky even.
Yeah, and that was a strange thing because they actually have a disco tone to one of the songs. They got a country tune in there
Yeah,
with all
they got
the
a
punk invasion. It was a really daring album for them to do that. Like they
Well, it was
didn't.
kind of a comeback. I mean, the
Oh,
last couple before this, they were, they weren't considered as good. They didn't do as well with fans or critics, but this one really seemed to scratch the itch, and it did very well for them. So, and I looked that one up also, and it looks like that one's also going for around the maybe 40 to 50 range in the condition I have it. So, I mean, they're worth something, but they're not like, it's not like I can quit my job or anything.
I had back in the day, I had a original first pressing copy of Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction with the original album
Oh, yeah.
I got rid of that like
Different
years
artwork.
later. I should have held on to that one. Even though I'm not
Oh,
really a
yeah.
fan, I was like, I should have held on to that one because
Yeah.
Anyway.
And if you had it autographed.
Well, yeah, that I didn't have.
My next item is going to be the autographed one.
Yeah, I'm going to start with my autographed stuff. I don't have a ton of autographed things. I've never been. I know a lot of people who are really into that, and I get it. I'm just, I don't know. I've had opportunities to get lots of stuff signed at concerts, but I don't like having to lug shit around, right? So that's why I've never been really big on that. However, I do have a few, and probably my most notable one because I think the circumstances were really cool, and we lost him shortly afterwards. So Mr. Johnny Winter signed my captured live copy, and I actually got to go on his tour bus. And I actually found the photograph of me and a couple friends and Johnny Winter.
Nice.
It's him right there.
Very cool.
I got to see him before he passed, and I got a guitar pick from him.
He was really it was during the day, so he was actually playing at a local place, like a barbecue joint, which had lots of blues acts and stuff there. And the show was sold out, so I couldn't even get to go to the show. But he actually, Steve Keeler, who owns Rock Fantasy, struck a deal with the guy who was running the show to say, hey, maybe if you're interested, maybe Johnny can come to Rock Fantasy and sign autographs and things like that during the day before the show. So what he did was he parked the tour bus right outside Rock Fantasy. So I went over there with this. I could have brought more, but I didn't want to overdo it. And with a couple of friends, and we went and sat on the tour bus with him for a little bit and got him to talk to him. But he was really seemed like really out of it. I don't know. He was very unhealthy at that time. He had a lot of health issues going on. So, I mean, it's kind of weird to think of my only time meeting Johnny Winter was in these circumstances. As you can see by the photo, he was all hunched over and small and just like, not overly conversational, but it was still really cool meeting this legend, right? And just sitting in his presence on his tour bus. So that's a really cool story. And this is probably my favorite live album by him. So I got him to sign that. And the other thing I'll show real quick, which I actually just thought about, I wasn't going to show today, but this is pretty damn cool. So I was, Sea of Tranquility was chosen as one of the Prague websites or webzines to and review early copies of the original Gentle Giant 35th anniversary remaster series, which was spearheaded by Derek Schulman. Right. So after I did that, and then I went to the DRT offices in New York City to interview Derek directly. What showed up in the mail about a week later was very unexpected and very much appreciated.
Wow. Nice.
Signed by all the members of the band.
Very cool.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So I will always treasure this.
Absolutely.
All the guys, we got Gary, John, Kerry, Ray, and Derek all signed it. So very, very cool.
Those are the best when you get a whole band to sign a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So so those are my two picks.
You're reminding me of something, so I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay. Back to Davey.
Go. Well, Billy Jamie was saying, and you said before we started recording, Pete, if you overthink this, you're going to come up with an answer that's probably not true. So most treasured, it's going to mean something like, what would you really grab if the building was on fire? What's the, and to that it becomes, commercially speaking, what could I probably not afford to replace very easily? So you grab the most treasured things from a personal point of view, family stuff, but then you're going to grab the things that are worth a bit more money. So like Jamie said with Pat, okay, I've talked about this person quite a bit, but I checked and it's been 9 months, so I've been good. And it weighs a fucking ton. So Neil Young's first volume of Archives.
Oh my God, yeah, look at the size.
Does weigh a fucking ton.
And this is the Blu-ray edition, right? So it's all on Blu-ray audio, every single disc. And even at the time, this was £300, so it was, what's that, $400 ish, something like that. And it's been out of print since 2009. So I think the last one I saw was about $800, something like that. Which is just, it's never been reprinted. It's never been, they've never found a cachet of them. I think it was limited to 1,000 at the time, and they all sold out within hours. They did a couple of different versions. One came on DVD, and then one came on CD, which was just this. It was just the CD set. And they've repressed this just this week, actually, for the CD version. And it's $180, $200, and it's 10 CDs. So that's $20 a CD.
Yeah.
Which... and again, this is the Blu-ray version, which has got a lot more on it. There's a lot of video footage. There's the Journey Through the Past movie and stuff. And you don't get that in the CD version. So CD buyers are completely ripped off. But it comes with these two compartments, and they're full with all the discs. You get a big poster of the archives themselves. And when you talk about books, right, normally we mean a booklet. Look at that for a book. Right?
Wow.
An actual proper leather-bound thing. And it's full of all sorts of memorabilia from literally from his very first days and his first band with Rick James.
That's
Neil
right.
Young and with Rick James, the Squires. So it goes right through. It's got all sorts of lyrics. I mean, it is 300 odd pages of the first years of Neil Young, which it's phenomenal stuff. And then you get the complete session stuff at the back, so it tells you exactly when every version of every single track was recorded. It is this on its own, it would be a must buy for any fan. It really would be.
You'd probably pay $100 just for that.
Yeah, because they've totted it up to give it a fancy binding, and the paper's all thick card. It's not just magazine print or anything.
That's what you call a box set. My God, that's
literally a box.
It's a behemoth. And this is just volume 1. There's going to be at least 6, and they're all this size. So, I mean, volume 2 is not as good because they didn't do a Blu-ray version. They only did a CD version, but at least they kept the size. They didn't just scale it down. Volume 3 is going back to Blu-rays again because there's a lot more film footage from the later 70s going into the 80s. So it's going back to that format. So there'll be at least 6 of these, which.
So you got to either get another room or you got to build a whole new shelf just to house those things.
For Neil Young.
And you could fill a room with just with Neil's stuff. I mean,
that isn't including his albums. Yeah,
I'm guessing
this
Davey
is not
probably pretty close to that.
It's not a collection of his albums. That's the most nuts thing. It's like his recording career, but it doesn't even include every track from every album. So you still need the album.
Your curse.
Sure, for sure.
What's his stuff sound like with Rick James? I never YouTubed it or listened.
Pretty standard R&B. Imagine any band in the Nuggets era, pretty much.
Okay.
You wouldn't know it was Rick James, put it that way. So
does anybody sing or does Rick James just plays
bass? You wouldn't imagine Neil Young on Super Freak or something. So you're not going to get that in 1865. It's pretty much just, hey, everybody loves Nuggets and R&B and Rolling Stones and The Who and things. It's pretty much that. Fascinating stuff though, and you get to hear a lot of alternate Buffalo Springfield things because Neil keeps a lot of it for his own archives and doesn't let Crosby, Stills, Nash use any of it or very little. Didn't let Buffalo Springfield have a lot of it for their box sets. So it's all in here, folks. It's all in here.
Did he take Stephen Stills' voice out of "Long May You Run" for a release?
Yes,
that's what I thought.
Although you get alternate versions of that on Volume 2. So nothing's ever really gone. That would be my number one thing. That's have to, just for commercial reasons, even if it was just for oh, I could never afford to replace that again because it's now going for stupid money. I'd have to pick that,
Right.
even if it wasn't my absolute favorite anyway.
That's cool.
Nice.
All right, Rick.
Okay, well, just to mention what Jamie said, exactly a year ago today, I met some of you guys in person. And I would treasure that for the rest of my life. Who would have thought I would, open up from Vanilla Fuzz and Pat Travers and got their signatures on stuff. And I know Jamie got some good stuff way above his head. You see Vanilla Fuzz drum skin there. And so we had a lot of great times.
That was a special weekend. Yeah.
Oh, that was. I mean, I got to see some of my dear friends in the flesh, and then get to go hang out in New York. So it's great, and go to Rock Fantasy. That was awesome. We did a lot of good things there. The warehouse. Anyway, so like I said, I'm not gonna show all the set lists and stuff like that, or Jason Bottom and all these things, but. How do I prioritize the best? So I got a couple honorable mentions. I'm gonna be quick just to make sure I don't take a lot of time. But these two are tied because they're special, and they're special to Pete too. So he'll understand what I'm talking about here. One of my favorite bands belongs to Led Zeppelin, Uriah Heep, and we all know how much I love Black Sabbath and Whitesnake, and I got their signature. And the story is all kind of similar. Same location, DTE Energy Music Center, and which called now the Pine Knob, which used to be called Pine Knob, Michigan Theater. Now, David Coverdale is not one to sign a lot of CDs for people. But I had a pretty good looking date and she was there, and that always works. So we're standing on the fence, and she looked like she wanted to do it. And they were coming to me. She even gave me the ticket that we went to with Tesla, was playing Whitesnake and Tesla, August 28th, 2011. And this was a great album, Forevermore. I was so proud of them. And to get everybody's signature, that is what helped me weed out of all the things. Because I got a stream, I got a bunch of bands, but this the one artist or the one, but I think it's the whole lineup for this album and this tour. And so like Scott said, it's even special when you get the whole lineup. It was really close. In this case, was same thing. Black Sabbath. What happened is he had this live album called The End, and he had some bonus stuff that never went on that final record, and they put it out on their tour. And so I got to see them sign it, but you don't get to go to them. They sign a bunch of them, and you get copies. But still, I got Ozzy, Geezer, and Tony. I mean, you know how. I I got every Black Sabbath. This is definitely a treasure there. So if my house is on the flames or something like that, I'll be taking care of this stuff. In fact, I will do this for Jamie one day. I'm going to do a video of how I store my CDs. I put them in a file cabinet, and they're all three in a row, and they pull out, and I got a dolly to take that shit out if something happened. It's the first thing to go. Is a whole wall of file cabinets near a door, fireproofed and all, because that is my treasure. I ain't gonna lose that. Now, what else on the honorable mention? Well, having Robert Plant band, but Robert Plant signed it, that was pretty damn close. He's sitting there like 30 feet away. He won't come to the fan base, but all his bandmates. I started, hey, Skin. I started calling their name, and they're like, you know me. Okay, come up, and they signed this stuff. So that was really cool. But the next one I have to say that was really fighting for the top, it's because it's a super band and all the players, but the experience of watching them was Son of Apollo. They all signed the whole thing that they had at the time in Toronto. It's just 1 month before COVID put the whole live show on hold. And I got to meet them, got a picture with them. They signed stuff. I got all kinds of drumstick from Mike and stuff. But what was cool is watching them do the sound check. And they play musical chairs. They didn't play the instrument that we're going to see that night. Mike went on a bass. Somebody went on the drums. Everybody went on a different instrument and jammed songs from Deep Purple and taking requests. You're a Canadian? Okay, they started singing Triumph, and they started singing, and they would take all kinds of questions. So this was a special for me, because you guys know how much I care about Mike and his career. To have Billy, Bumblefoot, Derek, all these guys, Jeff, all on this signing it, all the stuff. Plus they signed some posters and stuff like that, more than I would post to, but they, that's the kind of people they are. So I got more than that, but those are my favorite examples because the story behind it, and I do treasure this. And you know, we could do a series on this show because when it comes to some of these rare stories about how do you get the autograph, how do you get this, it's kind of interesting. But anyway, that's my treasure.
Cool.
Very cool.
Jamie.
This wall is actually my signed stuff right here. Well, some of it. When I met Carl Palmer, when I met Carmine Appice 1 year ago today, Graham Nash, I saw him this summer, and that's Our House. He didn't write the lyrics, but he signed the lyrics that look like they're handwritten. I met Nancy Wilson at my buddy's record store where she performed live with her Flavor of the Month band at the time called, what the hell were they called? Roque's Royale. It's all right. She would not sign any Heart stuff. She would only sign that CD. And I got the sword there. And in 1990, I met Alice Cooper, and I got that signed. This was a bigger flat, but it started to frail, so I cut it to fit in here. And I had a picture of me and Alice because I was on his tour bus. And this house eats things. I'm turning into Chris Allo. I'm losing shit. And I can't find the picture of me and Alice Cooper from 1990. But maybe it's a good thing because I used to not show people it because I look ridiculous. Bad mustache, bad mullet, too skinny. And I always tell people, if you're sitting next to Alice Cooper and you're the scary one, there was a problem. I had some issue. I was trying to figure my look out and I couldn't quite figure it out. And then I'm walking around going, why won't girls date me? Look in the fucking mirror, Laszlo. Anyways, so I'm going to go with some worthless shit that means a lot to me. And this means, well, I'll say that for the last. This is my very first album that I've ever owned. I was probably 7 maybe when I got it. It doesn't play anymore. It's in awful condition. This is not a gatefold. It just happens to open like that. America's debut album. I used to drive around with my aunt, who was kind of, she was probably like 20 at the time, and she had America's Greatest Hits, I think. And so my mom bought me the debut, and I have it on CD. I have a better vinyl copy, but this is the one I sat there as a 7-8-year-old and played over and over and over again, and it's warped now, but it's special to me. It's hard to listen to this music. It's really bittersweet for me to listen to it because it takes me back to such an innocent time when you felt like, you're being taken care of, and you didn't have worries, and you had your whole life in front of you. And it really it's bittersweet. And I have a couple original. Oh, I actually have a live. I didn't pull that out, but I have my original Ace Frehley, an original Destroyer that I used to listen to as a 8-year-old over and over. This still plays very, very well. This plays pretty decent, but I rebought this recently because it had the poster. I actually bought all 4 at the same time about 2 years ago because they came with the original poster. And I've never seen the posters put together until 2 years ago. When I put them together, it was like being in a Dan Brown novel. I thought something was going to happen. Cranks were going to start turning or something like that from Indiana Jones was going to happen. But it was
Psycho Circus of some sort.
So yeah, 2 original things there. And this one's pretty special because now we're going way back before I could read. And this one, my mom bought me 1974, maybe 1973, Spider-Man and the Man-Wolf when they put the broken record. And how I know I couldn't read, how I can remember, is because she would take all my 45s back then, I remember, and she said, I'm going to draw the character on the label so you know what's what. So I remember Pinocchio had Pinocchio with the long nose, so I would know that's Pinocchio. And she put a little Spider-Man on there for me to remember that Spider-Man. So this is pretty special to me. And this is great. I can still quote this thing, and the voices of each character still in my head. So there you go.
That's a great choice. I have the original, and Scott, maybe you remember this, the white Spider-Man LP with the great Johnny Romita cover. the great depiction of Spider-Man on the front, and it's got the whole origin story on the inside. It's got
I know
that.
the one you're talking about, but I did not have that particular one.
I have it. I still have it. It's one of the few.
But I had that series, several in that series that Jamie was showing of the Spider-Man, including the Spider-Man one.
Yeah, the Captain America, the Hulk.
Those were the voices I would hear in my head when I'd read those comics, you know.
The earliest Marvel I remember is those 60s cartoons that were just they only animated the mouths. Remember those
Yes.
shows?
Barely animated, yeah.
The Rainbow Bridge of
Oh
Asgard.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you had a different one every day of the week. So you had like Thor on Monday, maybe Captain America on
Yeah.
Tuesday, Submariner.
Dark Bruce Banner got hit by a gamma ray.
They're like 15 seconds long too, but in my mind they lasted 5 minutes. Those openings.
But that Spider-Man theme song been done by a lot of bands too, right? Like Aerosmith did that. Quite a few people have covered that. Those, tunes.
This is the I'm trying to. Yeah, this is the one I'm talking about, Scott. Maybe you remember this.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
That's cool.
But I never actually owned that one.
yeah. Spider-Man from Beyond the Grave, a rock comic. I still have mine, and I used to listen to it over and over and over and over again. It's got great John Romita Sr.
Love that
artwork
stuff.
all throughout it. Yeah, so good.
Oh, the Batman book and record where the Joker was stealing like Picasso's. Still quote that one. I'm stuck in the mud down here. The Joker at the end.
All right, Scott, back to you.
Yeah, we're starting to go into comic book geezers land here. So
I'm telling you, yeah, we can do a whole show on this over there, man. Holy cow.
Exactly.
It's curse too.
So my first item, my second item. This is my autographed item. I don't have tons of autographs. I mean, I probably got about a dozen or so, and nearly all of them I got. It was like a band signing. It was a scheduled thing, and I show up and get in line with other people and get my item signed. And got some good ones. A lot of them are Austin bands and artists. Got Jimmy Vaughn, Paul Westerberg from the Replacements. I showed that, so I won't show it again. Lyle Lovett. I got Mick Jones of the Clash. Bunch of others. This one, however, I was about 6 years ago. I was coming home from work and I made a little pit stop at my favorite record store. Anybody happen to know what that might be?
No, Scott, no, I didn't.
Anyone? Bueller.
I thought you just bought online.
So I'm thumbing through the used CDs and I hear this voice in the background. And it's a very familiar sounding voice. And I turn around and it's like, oh my God, it's Robert Plant. He was in the store.
Hayden from Rick Labonte.
Maybe. Yeah. So yeah, Rick stole a little bit of my thunder here. But anyway, yeah, but this was just kind of a happenstance, a chance meeting. He was actually in there with Patty Griffin, who's a local Austin artist and a singer, and she's really good too. And in fact, she toured with Robert on the Band of Joy tour.
That's right.
They were pretty close. In fact, Robert lived here for a little while. I don't think he was living in Austin at the time that I saw him, but as I said, I think this is about 2017. And so I'm like, okay, this is never going to happen again. I got to get something signed. So I had to go, I'll get out of the used CDs. You're not going to give them something used to sign, It's like, I love your music. I bought this used.
Yeah, I bought this for $1.99.
Yeah, exactly. Can't do that. So I go over to the Zeppelin section and I'm like, well, wait a minute. I've got pretty much everything. And I've got pretty much all the reissue. I don't have this one. And I got Presents, which, this is the reissue with the bottom disc. And there it is. And yeah, I'm kind of like, geez, do I go up? I mean, how do I do this? Because what if he's a dick, And that's just going to ruin my image of him forever, right?
It's a good story.
What if he's a dick and he refused to sign it and I just spent $17.99 on the CD? Damn.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to ask him first. Would you sign this if I buy it?
But if I didn't do it, I'd be kicking myself forever. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's how you get it. If you don't take initiative, like Chris,
exactly.
all these people I signed, I just took a chance.
Had to be done. Yeah.
you gotta do it.
And so I approached him and I just said, would you mind
Nice.
signing this for me? Big fan, been a fan since since I was 14. And he was pretty cool about it. What's your name? I'll sign it for you. And I was telling him how I'd seen his last show at Austin City Limits, and he's, oh yeah, I remember doing that. It was a great show, and I enjoyed that a lot. And yeah, I think Patty was with him on that tour. But
Nice.
yeah, really cool guy. I wish I got a selfie with him. I was just like, but I'm just so caught up in the moment, I'm not even thinking about it. It's like,
There's
okay,
always
this
the whole
is kind of the
how much
grail
do
for
I
me.
ask for, right? Well, I'm asking for an autograph. Do I ask for a selfie too?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, should I push it? Like,
I met
Sometimes it falls in your lap. Like we're like Elton John. I was 7 rows behind. I told my girlfriend, "Let's go," because it's near the encore. He went up and started signing people's album that they were in the front row. And so I didn't go, "Oh, I don't have anything." I gave him my ticket, and he signed it. He said, "Nice hat."
anything.
I had my leather hat. He goes, "Nice hat," and I'm like, he talking to me. I've never been starstruck till Elton John started saying a few words to me, and she kind of looked at me, "Yeah, thank you." And I'm like, "Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
That was a great show." I was like, for a second there, I was like a deer froze in the headlights.
I
But
met
just-
Billy
yeah.
Corgan at a record store 2 years ago.
Okay. Oh yeah, I think I remember you
Yeah,
mentioned.
And I wasn't feeling the selfie vibe at all.
Yeah, you said it was
asked him. Plus, it
standoffish.
was this chick's record store, who I'm friendly with, and I didn't want her to be pissed that I'm bothering, because that was the second time there, and of course she wants them to come back every time. So he doesn't want to. I'm not going there. They bother me there. So it was being cool to her. I was being cool to him because he's a weird dude too.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, and but I understand he's a little bit he's sort of shy in a way.
And I believe he thinks lizard people control the music business. So when you got people who believe in lizard people,
He's not too wrong.
Yeah,
good music, dude.
It's borderline.
I remember Billy Cox at the Fox, and I got a picture, and he signed some stuff, and I got a picture, and these management people say, "Oh, we usually charge people for the photograph." He said, "That's okay. This guy knows his music." But Billy gave me the pass. I mean, I guess I didn't follow the protocol, but he was kind.
You made an impression, I guess.
Yeah, and that's how it is. Sometimes if you're a super fan,
Yeah.
but don't freak them out, scare them.
And
Mark David Chapman, or make them nervous.
Oh,
You
God,
want to make sure that they know, hey, I'm your fan.
Well, if
and
he did make him nervous, that would have been better. He made him too comfortable, unfortunately.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when I met Robert there, the store wasn't crowded or anything, so it's not like he was getting mobbed or anything. So yeah, I think I saw maybe one other person ask for an autograph. It was just
You're lucky.
totally chill, low key.
Well, it's in the right place at the right time. I mean, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
exactly. It was just dumb luck.
He's had a reputation around here in New York in the Hudson Valley where he likes to go to record stores. So there, I remember, because he has been playing fairly regularly, like at what's it called, Jam Fest, or I forget. It's like a jam band festival that they have here, that they've had here for many years in the summertime, and he has played there numerous times. And people always spot him in like Woodstock and other various towns in the area, just perusing in record stores. And I remember like a couple of years ago, there was a picture I saw on Facebook where he was in a record store and he looked like Robert Plant. His hair
Sure. Oh
tied
yeah,
back a little bit.
There was
But
no
like there
mistake.
were all these young people in the record store, and not one of them knew who he was. But the person who took the picture obviously didn't. Like, oh my God, Robert Plant's in the store.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who he is. It's like,
Really?
imagine. He's
Wow.
a legend, right? It's a
It's
legend.
wild,
Really.
exactly. The golden god,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, yeah, this is my grail as far as autographs go. I mean,
Dude, I have a lot of
huge
good stuff,
Zeppelin fan.
but I don't have that, and you're lucky. I have the Yardbird guys signing CDs of Jimmy Page produced and that, but I don't have Jimmy, and I don't have Robert. So you're lucky, brother.
I thought you said you did have Robert.
No, I
he
got
missed right. He got everybody but Robert from
He
the
was like
band. Yeah.
30 feet away with security. And so we're waiting to go in Toronto
Gotcha.
Master Hall. And so I called out his bandmate. They came and I said, "You think Robert is signed?" We're actually going back in. So it's like, So, but no, you're lucky, brother.
Again, just
He's not known to
just
do
double
that
luck.
unless I guess in a record store would be the appropriate place because you got him in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, he was looking at some blues CDs, and I was like, "Yeah, they
Nice.
got a great selection, don't they?" You know, and yeah, he
Cool.
just started talking about blues CDs, and then it was like, "Hey, would you mind, doing this?" Presence isn't even my favorite Zeppelin album. I mean, but I like it. I still like it. At one time, it was probably maybe my least favorite, but yeah, it's definitely come up.
Did you not think to rebuy one of your favorites just to get the favorite
Yeah.
signed?
I would have bought the whole catalog.
The background really shows off his signature, so there's that
True, 'cause
too.
it's white.
Yeah.
Yeah, although
But that was like a bad album for him in a way. Not a bad album, but a depressing thing. He's in a wheelchair. Not a lot of fond memories.
Well, and it just came on the heels of 6 amazing,
Yeah, you got the signature.
amazing albums.
Awesome. Awesome.
So anyway.
All right. So my last pick for today, like I said, this was kind of hard for me because there's a lot of stuff that I treasure and are cherished and whatnot. And this isn't signed, but this is a band that I love a lot. And it's a kind of like deluxe version of an album that I love a lot that came out many, many years later that somehow escaped me. And then by the time I found out about this, I was like, oh shit, I have to have that. And it proved to be pretty expensive and hard to track down. So I did track down a copy, and I really love it a lot. Since then, they've released an even more deluxe version of it, which is also itself is really, really expensive. And I don't think I really need that because the 2 songs that are omitted from my version that are on that, I already have on the original version. If all this sounds rather confusing, it's Deep Purple live in Japan. Basically the Osaka and Tokyo shows, which make up Made in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
This is the original 3-disc version. There's now a 6-disc version. You really don't need 6 discs because really there's only 2 tracks that are omitted from here that are on there, and it's the Mule and Smoke on the Water, which the versions they omitted from here are the ones you already have on Made in Japan. So basically, this is all the recordings, well, mostly of the Osaka 15th of August in 1972 show, Osaka August 16th show, and then the August 17th show in Tokyo, all of which they took songs from to make Made in Japan. These are the original shows, or the whole kit and caboodle. It's a really great set, 3 discs, great booklet that gives you the whole history of this short little tour of Japan and lots of great photos.
Nice.
Basically all you need. Like I said, now there's the 6-disc version now, which throws those 2 tracks back in, and they spread it out instead of compressing it all on 3 CDs. You got it all across 6, whatever. Do you really need it? You don't. But if you can track this down, I went looking before we went on air, and you can still get this if you want to buy it new. It's in excess of $100. You can probably get some used copies for 20, 30, 40 bucks out there. But I remember when I bought it, it was fairly expensive, but I had to have it. So yeah.
Is that Purple Records?
What's that? Purple Records?
Is that on Purple Records? Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of their stuff over the years has been remarkable.
I know, isn't it? Special. Great.
Yeah, I mean, I really, literally, now that you bring it up, Davey, I could have pulled out any number of these Purple live albums that have come out in more recent times, which
Definitely
won't be in print forever. And I have like all of them, and they're from all eras, and they're all great. Graz and London and all
especially to hear the last days of Richie, where Richie was playing like he was never going to play again.
Oh, the France stuff.
Yeah, and to hear the good Tommy Bolin and kind of defeat the narrative that his era was always crap live because of the fingers, and then but there was actually some great Tommy Bolin live stuff.
Well, the Long Beach show with Tommy Bolin is amazing. It's amazing when you think about that they released that Japan show, which he is horrible on, and that's what everybody has in their head as that's Tommy Bolin. Yeah, he was just a drugged out mess at the end. He might have been, but to think that the conclusion was that all of the shows he played on or at were bad is not true. If you hear the Long Beach show, that's prime Tommy Bolin right there.
That's the document, people.
Yeah, exactly, Scott. If that came out in 77, say, and that was the only thing that came out, the narrative would never have been out there in the first place. It would have just been a drug casualty, but there wouldn't have been he was always terrible live.
That's right.
And even that great documentary about it. Is it Phoenix Rising, the Deep Purple documentary about Marks 3 and 4? That's a great documentary.
Yeah. That was tough to watch because you knew that he was, having that struggle. But what was interesting is all the 74 shows, not just the California Jam, which was a big deal, but all those London shows, the pair and the 75 concert. And even when Richie gave his notice, they played tight and they were great. It's like that must have been hard because the performance was so outstanding. It's a wonder that he actually would go to Rainbow after hearing how tight that
Yeah.
was. But
It's funny when Richie gives his notice in 75, he plays like a demon. When he gives his notice in 93, he couldn't care less. That Birmingham 93 show is one of the worst things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will agree with that 100%. I think that when he gave his notice on the Stormbringer tour, some of the best Blackmore playing I've ever heard in my life.
I know.
And so many of those recordings have become available now. So basically the Made in Europe album, which I love, is taken from a whole bunch of those shows right towards the end in Scandinavia and in Europe. And man, like the Live in Paris album.
Amazing.
Amazing.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, Blackmore went out with a bang in that band.
Oh, sure did. Like better than what he'd done for in the post 80s or the 90s performance, because he wasn't always faithful to the signature solos in some of these songs, where he still was more faithful to all the songs. He gave it all. He didn't stop playing because they got the rhythm and just wait for a solo. He played front and back, and he was amazing.
Yep, for sure. So there you have it, everybody. Some of our treasured items in our collections. Obviously, there's tons more, but so let us know what some of the stuff you have is that that you really treasure, and give some little stories behind it, right? Down in the comments below as much as you care to. And tune in next month for another episode of The Curse of the Collectors. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time.
All the damn time.
If you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. We'll see you in a few short weeks here on The Curse of the Collector. For David Gallagher, Rick Labonte, Jamie Laszlo, and Scott Berry, I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Stay tuned for Ranking the Albums tomorrow. I'll be joined by Mr. Ryan Scow for Electric Wizard. Till then, have a good one, everybody. Take care.